So in these problems, they're either going to be asking you to match a polynomial function to a picture of its graph, or to graph this polynomial function in your graphing calculator and then approximate its zeros. So how would I know how to match it? Well, first of all, I would look at my polynomial. I would look at the leading term, and that would tell me what its end behaviors would look like, right? So if I look at the leading term for this function, it is 2x to the fifth power, right? The fifth power tells me that they're going to be ending in opposite directions, either one in the negative, the other in positive, or vice versa, right? The 2 in the term tells me that those ends will actually, one will be up in the first quadrant and the second ending will be in the third quadrant, right? So it'll be going up like this, blah, 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 and then it'll be coming down like that, right? I also remember some of the rules that I've learned, and I can tell that there is one sign change here, then I have another sign change here, and another sign change here, right? So that tells me, since there's 3 sign changes, that tells me that we will have 3 zeros, right? Now we do know, generally speaking, that if I took the leading coefficient and subtracted by 1, so 5 minus 1 would give me 4, and that would be the most amount of turning points, so maximum or minimums that the polynomial will have, right? So I know that it can't have more than 4 turning points. If we have 3 zeros, though, that most likely means that we have 4 turning points. So if I look at the graph when I graphed it in Desmos, I can see that it crosses the x-axis right here, and right here, right? So 3 times, and that actually only leaves me with 2 turning points. So we aren't going over the maximum of 4. So if I look at the graph, I can approximate its zeros. I tell that the first line is 20 and negative 20 on the other side. So those zeros are in between those. I'm going to say that probably each of these lines is counting by 5. So if this is 5 and this is negative 5, then the zeros are between 5 and negative 5. So this first one that I'm highlighting in purple looks pretty close to the line, or kind of like maybe a little bit less than halfway through. So maybe I would say that is around 2. The next line I will highlight in blue. That one looks very close on the negative side to the y-axis. So I would say maybe that is negative 1, right? And then the other one that I'll leave in green is a little, like almost at like halfway. So maybe I would say that is negative 2.5, right? So those are my approximations. Now if I wanted a more specific one, I would have to zoom in to actually see closer where those zeros are. So here I have zoomed in, right? Remember we had those approximations, and now I can clearly see, oh well, my purple 0 is actually at 1.2, I would say, right? The other 0 in blue is actually a little less than negative 1, so more of like a negative 0.5, right? And the last 0 that we had was kind of close to our prediction, right? So it's actually a little bit past negative 2.5. So maybe more like negative 2.75. So not bad.